YouTube is just so big now, and then you can capture a completely different audience than just like your local audience, or just like from word of mouth, like who you tell about the podcast and stuff. Which
I think
is crazy.
Because people in like rural Russia are on YouTube, and people in like Barbados or wherever, like bits of the world that you're not gonna reach.
Yeah.
They're on YouTube watching backyard brawls and fucking people drinking too much or whatever.
Absolutely, or people popping pimples, whatever.
Anything you can think of. So I'm looking forward to that. So far, I have like a little demo reel that Jose helped me make, which is like it's the logo with the record spinning.
Yeah.
So for the first 15, 20 episodes that are audio only, at least I'll have like a visual element. It'll be the audio uploaded, and I'll have the little thing spinning.
Yeah.
People can listen to it. But then once we step it up, do the video thing, then release little video clips on SoundCloud or Instagram. And it's the visual age. People want to see stuff. People want clips. They want to
some
need to
people
be
are
stimulated.
just animated when they talk, like myself I am. And then it's just, I don't know, like it feels like you're there in that conversation. Like you're sitting there with us.
I like watching videos. I have videos on silent on my laptop when I'm working. There's something about just seeing people interact and talk that it feels like you're almost hanging out with them.
Absolutely.
In a weird way. Like it's like you're not so lonely. Like these are my digital friends.
Just
like,
pop Seinfeld on or Friends, and then just turn the volume down.
It's like an atmosphere.
Yeah.
So I think I'm excited to see where that takes this, stepping it up to that level in the very near future. And it's so cool that I have like this whole team right here under one roof to help me,
Yeah. No, you got like a very legit setup, and then it's cool to have like your friends, people that you work with, to be able to include into that. No, I think that's dope. That's really sick.
Yeah, this has been fun, man. And I have you to thank for a lot of this. Like you really helped me get this started the right way. You were like super, super generous with your time and helping me get set up online and all that shit. And, I spent ridiculous amounts of hours on my own, like getting the sound part of it right. But like as far as putting it out. So thank you, man. Like
for all of Max's friends, he's being very generous. I barely helped him. But no, that's cool, man. I'm really stoked that like someone with your talents, like this just makes sense for you to be doing this.
It feels natural.
Yeah.
Right? It just feels like in a way like I was supposed to be doing this. I feel like a responsibility almost with the amount of people that I don't want to say influencing, but the amount of young artists coming through here that are just getting started, I feel like a coach in a lot of ways.
Absolutely.
A lot of younger people looking up, asking for advice, for feedback, and it just makes sense to to do this. I wanted to give them an extra platform and a chance to like, tell their story and then get to know people. And it's like, they say in the one of the 10 crack commandments of like drug dealing is if you don't have the clientele, don't get into it.
Yeah.
And it's like the same thing with podcasting. Like if you don't have the guests, you don't think you can find enough people, like don't podcast, because if it's not consistent, forget it.
Yeah.
But for me, it was like, for sure, I've got an endless supply of people coming through the studio.
Absolutely.
So.
That's what happened with me. Like that's why I kind of like dropped out of it, is because it was so hard to get people like to find time to like organize the people to come over. And then I wanted it to be more of like a metal podcast about like the music that I'm kind of into. And then I realized there's not a lot of people that are into metal that live close to me that would be easily accessible to kind of get their opinions on things. But this is really cool because like as a musician, if I listen to like a great album, so like someone that you're working with, they just put out their album and it's a great album, and you're just like, fuck, I want to hear like what led them to writing song 3, like what were they thinking about,
Sure.
or like which one was the first song recorded and which one was the last song recorded. And most times I can tell, but it's just cool to hear that from the artists themselves, and then to kind of get that behind the scenes thing. So I think that's a really sick opportunity for you. Like you could just like you could record a track with somebody and then come up up here and talk about it and
Yeah.
be like, how was that for you? Or like, what was your
Yeah.
inspiration behind that? And I think that's a really cool like avenue to get into.
Really get inside their head.
Yeah.
And not like breakfast TV style where it's like a 4-minute thing and they're like,
Yeah.
so how'd you get started?
Yeah.
It's like, no, we could sit down an hour and a half and just talk.
Yeah. And you can get into the nerdy things that like a lot of people want to get into. It's just like, yeah, it's not just like, yeah, like how did you get into hip hop? It's just like, is that did that come naturally for you? It's just like, do you listen to a lot of hip? It's like, who cares? Like, yeah, obviously they listen to it.
Yeah.
But it's like, okay, yo, like this, like the growth from like your first EP to like your first album is massive. Like, how much did you learn after that first EP? What was the biggest thing you took away from after that? And it's like you said, like some of the artists, they'll record in Studio A. Studio A is gorgeous. It's huge. It's massive. It's got that big console. But it's like, did I really need to do that? I could have recorded in Studio B, saved a little bit of money, or put that towards something else. Or maybe it's not about the money. It's like we were just talking about Studio A, it's got a lot of distractions, and it's like, is that helping you be the best you that you could be? Like, you put out the best work that you can do. Or when you're in B and you're just dialed in because you just got the desk and you got the room and then that's it, and a couch to sit on and kind of rest in between takes and listen to what you tracked. It's like, what's going to help you put out the best work you can do?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So those are the stories that people don't know, and the people see the finished product but don't realize what went into it.
Yeah.
And that's been a theme that people have brought up on a few different times on the show, is like, yeah, like my friends just don't understand, or my parents don't get what I do, or like I tell my aunt and uncle that I'm a DJ or a producer, and they don't even know what to picture in their head. They just they hear the song and they're people are either like, I love your song or I hate your song. This is stupid, but they don't appreciate like the endless hours and the nights and the decision-making process and the distractions and all these things that went into like getting to that.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, or a lot of people think like it just came so naturally, and it's like you don't know about like the months of like having writer's block, or like where you're just like, I don't think this is good enough, or just feeling deflated because like you're not feeling it, and then you finally get to where you're happy with it, and then people are like, oh, that was so easy for you, wasn't it? And you're like, no, that was a year of my life.
For real.
Yeah,
a year of my life that I won't get back.
Yeah.
And that it's probably taken off an extra year of just stress.
Yeah, absolutely.
Somewhere down the line, I might die a year younger because I went through that.
Yeah. But was it worth it? Is like, did I put out what I felt and then what I wanted to put out? Did my vision, that the way that I thought of it in my head, did I get that? And then that's what everyone's really looking for.
Yeah. It's hard. It's hard to know when to stop as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
We were talking about this the other day, about working on your own stuff versus working on something for somebody else where you have a deadline.
Yeah.
I'm guilty of spending like 3-4 years on a project, you know what I mean? Not daily, but I'll go back to it and tweak it and work on it because it's for me. And I decide when it comes out, not the label, right?
Yeah.
But when you have clients and, you know, someone's paying you for a mix, it's like, I need it August 14th.
Yeah.
You've got to stop at a certain point and be like, okay, this is the best I could do within this time period. And that is going to change the way you approach it, the decision-making process, that whole thing, like working in time with deadlines is really interesting. How do you feel about that? Like, as far as working on your own stuff, or have you had a chance to be on the other side of that and work on something for someone else?
Yeah, it's I compare it to being like in a troubled relationship. So when you're in the relationship, you're too into it. So like you'll just put up with things and you'll keep it going for a really long time.
Right.
But when you're that friend that's on the outside and you're just like working with somebody in a troubled relationship, you're like, dude, just do this, or just like, you gotta get out of that.
It's so simple. Why can't you see?
Yeah, that? Why you're too into it, and that's exactly how I feel with music. Like for me personally, like I had writer's block for like the last easily the last 6 years. Like I just wasn't inspired, and especially with like the type of music that I work on, which is heavy metal. I play guitar, so playing guitar by yourself gets pretty old. So like you're just like you'll write stuff but you're missing the drums, you're missing the bass, you're missing the rest of the band. And I'm not proficient enough to program drums, so I'll play by myself and I kind of imagine how it would sound. But then after you just get tired of it and you're just like meh, and it just takes a really long time. But like for other people, I could listen to their demos and stuff and be like, hey, like I think you play this for a few bars too many, like tighten that up, or like I don't feel like this part between this time and this time fits, you could cut that, like, or it's too busy. It's really easy to just be that outside perspective and then just kind of give your advice. But when it's yourself, you start to get in your head and you're like,
oh yeah,
like, is this cool enough? Like, am I being modern? Am I grabbing onto the past a little bit too much? Is this going to be relevant by the time I release it? Like all of these things. Am I making it complicated enough? I always think to myself, like, is what I'm playing too easy? Is it like too lame? And then like, I'm like, do I have enough parts in this song? Like I'll try to think of like 9 different riffs and make them into one song. And then later on they'll go to show it to my buddy and he'll be like, that's too much. He's just like you can cut those 3 out. And I'm like, really? Is it too simple after that? And he's like, no, it's fine. Like,
well, sometimes you want simple, like it has to be, you have to consider the listener at some points. Like you were saying, there's all those things that as the artist and the creative you're having to consider, but then at the same time, like, are you putting the music out for you, or are you putting it out because you're hoping other people will vibe to it as well? And a big part of that is keeping it simple sometimes. Being able, like, if someone hears this once, are they going to be able to sing along with the chorus by listen to? Or are they going to have to be like, I'm lost. Like, I can't. So that's the real, like, the art form of like connecting with people, but keeping it simple, but not keeping it too dumb. Like that balance is super tricky, I find.
It took me a long time to realize that. And I'll tell you this story, I've probably told it a million times, but it was one of the last shows that my band played. And we were really proud of ourselves because our newer stuff was very technical, and we're really pleased with it because it was fun to play. And we played in front of this audience, and they were just looking at us like, "What the fuck?" Like they were just like, "Okay, this is cool, but like I can't headbang to it. I can't do anything. All I can do is just like stand and watch." And we were like, "Oh well, that's kind of disappointing." And then the band that played right after us, the dude just like played on one string on his guitar and he fucking slayed us. Like he just like, they decimated, like the whole crowd was into it because they had sick groove and the dude was just playing one string. And I was just like, okay, like why am I working so hard to do all this when the dude is just on one string and just fucking destroyed us? Like we just look stupid in comparison. And then like you said, you go up to like any audience member or just any listener, oh, did you like the diddly thing that I did? They're like, I don't give a shit about anything you're saying. And then the other guy is just like, yeah, like we rock. And like, you absolutely rock. And then that was an eye opener when I was like, okay, there's more important pieces to the song. There's parts where you could put it in as thing for you as the musician, but the core of it should be for the listener.
Nobody cares how long you spent tweaking your synth. Or how technical you can get with your reverb or whatever. Like they want something that
is that analog delay or like, is that tape echo? What is it? It's like no.
Honestly, so that stuff's fun for us, but we can't get too caught up in it because at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter. Someone's going to play this off of their laptop speakers and they're going to be eating a sandwich while they listen to it. So they're not fully committed anyways. They're just going to hear the surface of it, and that better be good enough to connect with them. Not all the little technical shit.
That's like our mutual friend Charles. Like it's really fun because he likes the same music as me, and then it's fun to listen with him because he's not a musician. So like I'll be like, oh my god, this my favorite part's coming up, and then I'll like pause it, and then I'll like play it again, and then I'll look at him and I'm like, see, and he'll be like, that's cool. Like, okay, I'm just happy you're happy, and it's like, oh, okay, you don't care, and he's a listener, and then so this time around, I'm writing new music, and it's more about the vocals, and it's more about the song structure and making it as tight as possible. It's like, instead of a 5-minute song, make it a 3-minute, 45-second song.
Yeah.
It's like, do what you can to trim the fat, and then you're just going to be as effective as you possibly can be.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Like editing, getting it down, removing the stuff that doesn't need to be there is so important. And lyrics, especially, like, the biggest piece of feedback I have for young artists is like, can you take any bars out of your verse?
Yeah.
Can you leave gaps where you can actually breathe?
Yeah.
So you can finish the verse in one take. Take stuff away.
Yeah.
Sometimes less is more, right? And that goes back to connecting with the audience. Like, they're not interested in how difficult it is, really. They want to be able to keep up and hear you. And yeah, editing stuff is tough, because as the artist, like, oh, I created that. That came out of me. Like, that's like anything you create is like you're holding on to it. You're proud of it.
Yeah.
So taking it out is so difficult sometimes, but it's as important, if not more, than to take things out, to leave space.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be tough as a producer when you're like, hey, how about let's not do those 2 bars before the chorus.
Yeah.
It's like, how about you try that? And then the person's like, how dare you? Like, how fucking dare you? That's a big thing too, is just I could definitely imagine that, because especially when you're like, it's so convenient now to record your stuff at home, where it was like we're not that old, but like I remember it was very difficult, and then I had to go through quite a progression. But for definitely people now, they'll probably have like their verse and then like their chorus right next to it, their beat or whatever, and they'll probably just record the verse and then they'll hit stop, and then, okay, cool, I like that, I'm gonna just jump right into the chorus, and then not do it from the verse. And then they'll do that in pieces like that, and it's like, okay, yeah, that's a good way to track. But then when you're done, you should try to see if you could do the whole thing in one go. And then that's where you find, like, I can't breathe in between these 2 parts, or like, it's like, oh, like, yeah, like, I don't, like, it's hard to do that bit and then go into the next part. Like, you'll find little things like that, and it might sound amazing on an album or like on a single,
right?
But when you're doing it live, you're gonna find out you're gonna have some trouble.
I'm glad you said that, because that was where I was gonna go with this. Yeah,
because like, and I know there's compromises you can make when you perform live, but it's kind of a letdown. Like, I've definitely like, when I hear artists live, and like, I'm like, this is pretty far from the album. It's kind of like, that's kind of bullshit. So again, like, I know you, like, as an artist, like, you have a lot of vision and you want to get everything into your song, but definitely think about the live aspect of it as well.
Totally.
Like, how are you going to be able to perform this? And then give yourself some little breaks. Be smart about it, and then that way you could have fun with it, and then you could perform that much better. Like, if you give yourself a little bit of a break and maybe have like a backing track, just any little thing to help you out, and then your performances will be way better.
So true. So true. Leave, yes, for the studio version, yes, you can do it in multiple takes to get, you're comping 16 takes into one master take because you like the tone or whatever. But yes, being like, at the end of the day, can you do this song live?
Yeah, absolutely.
That has to be a yes. I mean, your fans are gonna find out real quick if you're lip syncing all your shows. Or if you're, like you said, you're live, you go and see a band you love, their album's sick, and you go to the club and you're like, what is this garbage? Like, this band is built off of the producer and the engineer. Like, these people have no real talent. So and nowadays it's more important than ever. Like, people aren't buying physical CDs. They're going to see bands. They're going to concerts. They're going to festivals. Like, that's where you have to shine now.
Yeah.
Like, you really do. You
got to bring your A game. And then another pet peeve of mine, and I get it, like, when you're popular and you got a big audience and they start singing along with your music, it's still your fucking job to sing the song too. So, like, I hate that when they hold the mic out to the audience. It's like, okay, maybe get them to do it once so they know to keep doing it, and then you hear it, but it's just like, sing the fucking song. That chaps my ass.
Or they, yeah. Maybe like at the end of the set, you know,
Yeah.
where you're playing the lead single for the second time. People have already heard it, and you're tired, you're exhausted.
Yeah.
Let the band sing part of the last hook, but like,
Yeah.
all night long. That's like, I came to see you sing. I didn't come to hear me sing.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I didn't pay top fucking dollar through Ticketmaster and their 80% fees to fucking hear like Bob next to me fucking sweaty and sing the chorus. It's like, no. That like, but I get it. Like it's hard. But yeah, you could definitely, when you're in a studio session and you're comfortable and you're feeling creative, it's definitely really easy to get to go a little too far. And there's some songs where you can do that and they're like your experimental song. But like I was just tracking with my other guitar player. We're doing pre-production right now. And we did this one bit and I was like, oh, it'd be cool maybe if you played that melody over top 2 more times and then do it 4 total instead of just 2. And then he's like, oh, and then you could like do this part over top. And we're like, yeah. And then I'm like, wait a second, we don't have 5 guitar players. It's just like, okay, just leave it the way it is. And it's like, just.
Yeah. So you're considering how it would end up when you're doing it in live. Yeah, exactly. Like, let's not get ahead of ourselves here.
Yeah. Cause I definitely like this time around, we're working on new music right now, and this time, like I said, it's all about the vocals, it's about the hook, it's about like the song as a whole, and then also we wanted to really up the production value. So like rock or metal is really easy because it's just 2 guitars, bass, drums, and a vocalist. But now we're starting to get into like, let's add some keys, let's add a backing track, let's add some more ambient elements.
Right.
And then, because the technology's come so far and it's so much easier as a smaller band to like have a bit of a production in your live show.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Like you could just like, you could set up like a little 4-track mixer and then connect like an iPhone to it. And then you've got like a click track coming out of the left channel. And then you've got your backing track coming out of the right. And then the right goes to the front of house. And then only the drummer can hear the click track. And then you're just like spot on perfect. And you've got a backing track.
There's nothing wrong with backing tracks because obviously like there's not going to be there's so many reasons there's not going to be physically enough space for all those instruments to be on stage. Sometimes that same instrument is played by multiple instruments are played by that one person. He can't be the guitar guy and the keyboard guy at that exact moment. So yeah, by all means have backing tracks and stuff. But don't have it be a crutch, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Your backing track should never have like your vocals on it. Like it should just be like that weird shit that like you can't have like all that crap up on stage. Like we learned that lesson too. Like we used to have half stacks, which is a 4x12 speaker cabinet, and then a guitar head, and we'd both have one of those, and the bass would have like what is it, like an 8x10 and then like a big Ampeg SVT. And like it's like, yeah, we felt really legit with all that fucking legit gear, but like you're playing on stages that are so small and you're just like super cramped,
right? And
you got nowhere to move because your gear's taking up all the room. And it's like, let's just scale down. It's like, okay, we're not Nickelback. Like let's keep the amps small. And then plus like I'm in my 30s now, and just like lifting that shit is just not fun. Like I got this amp and I thought like this is what I was going to use for my live rig, and it weighs 60 pounds, and just taking it from my car across the street, I was like, fuck this. I was like, this is why I quit playing live music to begin with. So I was like, I got to think of something else.
Yeah, because you're not going to be famous overnight. And if you are trying to get to that level for a long time, it's going to be you carrying that shit. You're not going to have roadies until you reach that level, right? So it's tougher. Like the older you get, just doing that shit over night after night after night. Plus, you're probably hungover too, and it's just like, God, where am I going with this?
You're just like, you're tired and you're broke, and you're just like, that was the thing for me. Like as soon as I turned 25, we were all kind of like, it wasn't cool anymore to be like 5 dudes living together and like barely any money. And then we were like, okay, I think it's time to like drop this and like let's get some real jobs. And
what was that? Was there a moment for you when that really clicked, or was there like an experience?
Absolutely. Me and my singer, we talk about this. It was after a show, And to give your listeners a little bit of an insight, there's no money in metal. Like there's like, especially in clubs, like you'll be lucky if you get paid $20, like for all five of you. So
Jesus.
we would play a show, and barely anyone would show up. And then we'd get paid like $14, and then we'd go to the Burger King drive-thru because it was open the latest. And then we'd have some shitty Whoppers, and then we were unloading the gear, and it was raining out this last show. And then I'm holding this big bass amp with my singer, and he just looks at me. He's like, "I'm done, man." He's just like, "Fucking done."
Just right then and there.
Yeah, he was just like, I can't do this."
Wow.
And then I was like, at first I was like, "No, we can pull through." But then, yeah, like we just kind of like dropped it there. And that was 8 years ago. And this fall is actually going to be our 10-year anniversary of when we released our first album. And it's been kind of in the works for the last couple of years, but we were like, yo, like let's be smart about this. And like it's not obviously going to be like our main thing in our lives, but we're all comfortable now, and we all have like adult jobs, but we still have the kind of time to pursue our passions, and that's kind of how we're going to treat it. So
cool. Yeah.
It's like, let's work on some new music, release it, and if a cool show comes our way, yeah, we'll go do that. But back then, we like it was 8 years ago, and we were following advice that was really outdated even for that time. So the advice that we were following was like from like the Beatles, or like from like the Rolling Stones, like really old bands. And they were like, play as many shows as you can, like anywhere you can.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're like, all right. So we would play this one club at least like once every 2 weeks. And we thought nothing of it because it was this club that was super close to us. Mm-hmm. And then you don't realize, like, one, that's taking a toll on you. Two, it like, even though it's so close to you, that is hitting you financially. That's taking time out of your day. It takes money to do anything, right?
Yeah.
So you're investing in all this to play some shitty club where people don't really appreciate you. And then plus, when you oversaturate yourself like that, what's the incentive for anyone to come see you? Because if they miss that show, they know you're just going to be there in 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's not special anymore. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's a mistake a lot of bands make, is they try to play as many shows as they possibly can, and they don't think of like, you got to think of it. You got to think of the business side of things. You got to think like, is this your demographic? Is this your target audience? Does this make financial sense for you? Like, are you getting a good return on investment? Mm-hmm. Like, if you spend the money that it takes to like get dudes in a car and then drive and get all your gear out there, and then you're getting paid $14, it's like, yeah, you're paying for the experience, but it's like that you're going in the red by quite a bit. But I imagine for hip hop, it's probably a lot easier because you're usually one guy or one person. Or you might have like a singer with you, but still, it's got to be the same for them. Like, make sure if you're going to a club, get a guarantee of some kind,
sure,
and make sure that is your audience, right? Like, you wouldn't go do a hip hop show and open up for like some indie rock band. That doesn't make any sense.
No.
Make sure the people that you're playing with or who bringing you up are kind of doing the same thing that you're doing, or close enough so it's not so jarring. Like, if you had like some like really slow R&B, and then someone goes into hardcore rap right afterwards, it's going to be like, that wouldn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
Like, especially for the audience.
No, it would probably just ruin the mood. You know.
Yeah.
They came for some candlelit R&B, and then some idiot gets on stage and starts talking about his dick. It's like, well, okay, this is stupid. No matter what, I'm done with this. So,
and nothing against like talking about your dick or putting some sick raps about your dick. It's just, if you're gonna do that, go with some other dudes that are rapping
to the club where they're all doing that.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like, don't go to the candlelit R&B night and fucking ruin that. It's like, go do your thing. Yeah. And that was a big thing that we learned. And then also, this is kind of universal too, is we used to always change your set list like every time, because it would get boring for some of us in the band to play the same songs in the same order, but they didn't see the big picture, which is like, okay, even though it's our 100,000th time playing it in that order, it's the audience's first time hearing
Sure.
it in that order. So when you have a set list, you get tight and you have this natural flow in each song, and it just sounds more organic. Because like if you've ever been to shows where the person like it's just like, okay, song ends, dead silence. Okay, we're gonna play this song now, and then they kick into the next song. It's just like, well, that doesn't feel good because you're just like you're getting a groove off like the song, and then it just ends. And then they pick up on another song, and then you got to get warmed up into that again. Whereas if they just naturally went into the next song, it feels a lot better.
Are you talking about where a band will stop and they'll like introduce each song before they play the song?
So they're like, yeah, this is our song, Forever Hearts, blah blah blah, and then they'll play it.
Okay.
And then they do that every single song. And
don't do that. Yeah.
Exactly. It's hard to get in the groove when you're stopping it that many times. And then that's what we end up doing, because none of us knew the set list because it would change all the time. And I remember it was before we moved to Vancouver, and we played a big show here, and we invited somebody to come critique us, and then they were doing it for this metal blog at the time that was big, and I completely forget it, but it was very valid feedback, but it's very eye-opening as well, because the tagline was, because our band's name is Pentecost, it was Pentecost, the band that's almost amazing. And it was just like, oh shit. And then we read it, and then it was exactly that. It was because we didn't know the set list because we change it all the time. So we would just like play song, stop, play song, stop, play song, stop. And like you could have had more flow. And then when you have that where you don't know the set list, like your singer might not be as confident, and then that comes off to the audience as well.
Hell yeah.
And so that was some pretty valid feedback. So like anyone out there looking to put on a good live show, pick a set list, really sit down with your songs, and then just try to find a rhythm that feels good. So like you want like a good opener, and then you don't want to like go hard the whole time. Like you might want like a little bit of dynamics in your set list, and then really settle on that, and then just practice the shit out of that. And as lame as it sounds, practice the little in-between parts, like Vancouver, how's it going tonight?
Sure, yeah.
And then it may feel lame doing that in your one-bedroom apartment, but it's like it comes off so much better. It might sound a little too practiced, but you'll have that level of professionalism that people look for.
Yeah, people are... Their eyes are glued to you, and they're watching your every move, your body language, and they're going to see if you're not fully in the moment, if you're hesitating even for a second. They're like, oh, shit, what do we do in between the song? Like, know what you're going to do.
Yeah.
Like, don't introduce it and tell the whole background story about it's about this girl I broke up with and da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah, don't give a shit.
We don't give a shit.
Yeah.
But have, like, the transition ironed out.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
Exactly. Exactly. Like... all the shows I've been to, the bands that do that, it's just like, I don't give a fuck. Or like, especially like if like somebody's just like talking way too much, it's like, just shut
play
up.
The music, bro.
Yeah, play the music. And it's like, it's like, you might think that you're so super fucking intellectual. Yeah. It's just like, no one cares. And it's just like, we don't care about your opinions. It's just like, just play the music, because the music is what's universal. Because like your lyrics might be specifically about something, but it might mean something to someone else, because it's up to everyone's interpretation. So yeah, people who have like these big rants before they go, this song is about the war in Iraq and blah, blah, blah. It's like, shut up.
If I want intellectual nonsense, I'll watch a TED Talk. Okay, I came to see a metal band.
Exactly.
It's like, when you want to, when you don't know how to do something and you have to search like a YouTube tutorial, like how to fix this specific light bulb, or how to change my bag on a vacuum, or whatever the fuck it is.
Yeah.
And you just want to see the video of the person doing it, but they'll tell you like a story before they get it. And then there's like, you're skipping the video for 4 minutes before you can actually see them doing what the title of the video is. It's like, nobody's interested.
Hey guys, welcome to another video. Sorry I haven't uploaded in a while. I've been really sick and blah, blah, blah. I don't give a shit.
No one is interested.
Fix the light bulb, okay?
Show me.
Yeah. I'm over here in the dark,
so
okay?
That's the feeling I get from what we're talking about whatever genre of music it is. Because I've seen indie bands I haven't really been to many metal shows, but a lot of hip hop shows, that type of thing, rock, where it's like there's just too much chatter. Like,
Yeah.
I have your set should be a performance. It should be, you know, it's about the music first and foremost. It should be, you know, it should be what it is.
Yeah.
If we want to talk after, you know, come see me after the set.
Yeah.
You could ask me about the song, but
I think like 3 seconds of talking is acceptable. It's just like, it's like, this song's for Laura, and then boom, just go into it. It's just like, yeah, I don't give a shit about Laura or who she is, how you met her. Just say the fucking songs for Laura and play the song. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
But yeah, like hip hop shows, I think it's even more important because that's all it is. It's about the vibe. It's about like being there. It's about getting everyone hyped up. Like, you got to have a good flow for that. So, like, yeah, any advice I could give to anyone who's starting out in like rock, metal music, or like hip hop is just like, get your live set. Like, make yourself look like you've already made it. Like, that's what I would say, because it's so important. And like, when you're talking about it, when you're not playing, it sounds super fucking lame, but it's important. Like, I remember telling people like, yo, you guys should wear like uniform clothing when you're playing live. And they're like, why? And you're like, because it just looks a lot better than dudes in like a bunch of weird different band t-shirts. And it's just like, you look like a fucking garage band. It's like, but if you're wearing like all black t-shirts and you have your lead guy wear like a different color t-shirt to make him stand out, looks a little bit more professional. And it's like, put some money into like having a backdrop or just like things to cover up your amp cabinets with like your album cover or something.
oh hell yeah,
Yeah, it's
like
just
a little projector going on, something, you know.
anything. And then it just sets you apart from the dudes that just bring their shit up on stage and then just like stare at their instruments and play. It's like, that's not fun for anybody.
Yeah.
So like, you got to put a little bit of money into the production of things. So yeah, like, and then I imagine with hip hop, it's just like, yeah, man, like, don't go up there wearing your shit you'd wear your day to day. Like, get like a sick ass outfit that you only wear at shows. So you fucking look sharp when you do your show. And I know that's lame.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, wear your church best when you fucking do your song
but
about
it's-
dicks or whatever. It's like,
it's so true. Like,
yeah,
have that pair of Air Force Ones you only wear on stage, so
Exactly.
they're like pristine white. You
yeah.
know?
People have to think that you're already made it. You're fucking legit.
Yeah.
They don't need to know that like you're still fucking getting a hot dog combo at fucking 7-Eleven for lunch. It's just like,
It really works, man. Like,
yeah,
it's not. I don't like that term, like fake it till you make it.
yeah,
It just sounds corny, but having the confidence and having just like the persona, the whole image really locked down and figured out is so important. And it's fooled me like on numerous occasions.
Absolutely.
A bunch of people that I've worked with, where I meet them for the first time, they come to the studio like with like a all red outfit and like their chains, and I'm like, oh, this guy looks put together.
yeah,
Pretty good on the mic, like has the whole package. And then later I find out that they're like living in their car, like broke, not doing anything really except for the music. And you're like, damn, dude, you fooled me. Like, I thought you were somebody that you're not.
yeah. I thought you rolled here in a Benz. Like, I didn't know you fucking walked here.
No,
like,
I
off
didn't
the
know.
bus.
Yeah, you skytrained here in the rain.
Yeah.
And like, so, and that's the same thing goes for the live show. Like, that should be, at the end of the day, like, the artist is a character.
Yeah,
You are a movie. You're Brad Pitt. Like,
yeah,
you know, these guys that are gangster rap when it was really big, like, they haven't shot anyone, I promise. And they probably don't smoke weed as much as they talk about in their songs, but they're creating a persona, they're creating a character. That album is a movie and they're the lead, right?
yeah. You're bigger than life.
You
Like,
got to
it's-
be bigger than life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like what you brought up there. Like not the fake it till you make it, but it's the confidence piece. Because when you hear fake it till you make it, people think apply that to everything, including the talent or the music.
Yes.
And it's like, no, don't do that. You should have that part down. But kind of going back to like when we first started talking, some of the biggest things that you can coach to artists is they need that business aspect or that side piece. It's like you have the talent down. This is how you get to the next level. You fucking put on your Air Force Ones when you play shows, and it's like you really dial in your set list, and then you act fucking legit every moment that you're out out at a show.
Totally.
And then it's like you can pack all that away, and then you can get back to being you when you're just doing your everyday life.
Yeah. Yeah.
But everyone should feel like you're bigger than life when you're on stage or when you're doing anything when it comes to your music.
Put on your, become your Superman. You can be Clark Kent, put on that cape and go and fucking kill it.
Yeah.
That is what the fans want. They want to see that superhero. They want to see somebody that's quote unquote cooler than them or doing something that they think they can't do. It's got to be, that's what it is. It's larger than life. It's having superpowers. It's having all these unattainable things in this whole image put together. And that's just so important, more so than ever, I think, nowadays, especially because people can showcase that so easily on Instagram and online, and that's what people are seeing, right?
And people talk about I want to be real. I feel like that's not being real. I feel like that's being fake. And it's okay. People do yearn for a little bit of realness from their artists. But if you're doing it all the time, people are like, I don't give a shit. It's depressing hearing that you're depressed all the time, or you're going you're doing all the same struggles as I am as a person that's not an artist. It's like they need that little bit of escapism. So it's like every now and then you could be a bit real and you could talk about something that's universal. So every now and then make a song about mental health or anything that you personally struggle with that can be adapted by anybody, and that's your time to be real, is when you could speak through the music. But people don't need to know that you're struggling just like everybody else every single day. It's just you're an artist for a reason. And if you want that persona, you got to be a little bit bigger than life sometimes.
Yeah, I see that, and I'm not a fan of it when people are I don't know, it's okay to be vulnerable, but like you said, when they're talking about, when you see them and it looks like they suck or they're sucking or they're not killing it, you're like, oh, you aren't magic. You're just a guy. And it's kind of a letdown a little bit. I don't know. There's definitely something to be said about being real and being honest and telling your stories and telling your struggles. But at the same time, I think all the things that we've been mentioning are so important. To be a successful artist and to stand out from just everybody else, being one step above everybody in all of those departments, the looks and the whole persona. So it's a balance at the end of the day. It's not one way or the other. But these things connect with people. These things resonate with people. They connect, and we're human beings. We're not, we can see bullshit and smell it.
Yeah, absolutely. And then there's extremes with everything too. You could take it too far and you can act too bigger than life and you just be kind of douchey. And it's you don't want to go that route too. You want to be a little bit humble. It is, you've brought it up a couple times, it's a balance. It's a fine balance. Another thing, if I could give anyone advice, try to do as much shit as you possibly can. So a lot of people are looking I want to book a booking agent, I want a manager, I want all these other people. And it's okay, let's lowball this. Let's say you make $100 and you've got a staff of 5. It's you have to pay all those people and then you get whatever's left over.
Yeah.
They're not going to take a percentage. They have a fee that you pay, and that's, you pay whatever
they're worth,
their fee is, right? And so you just end up getting what's left over. But if you're doing that shit on your own, you get a bigger piece of that. And I know that kind of sounds like it's all about the money, but it's this day and age, there aren't that many people that are getting the big breaks, that are getting the multi-million-dollar deals. It may seem that way, but it's not really that way. So as proficient as you can be on your own, that is going to lead you to bigger success. And you should learn how to manage your money well, so that way, if you have a really good hit album, you'll do really well and you'll put a lot of that money aside. So if your next album isn't quite as big of a hit, or maybe it flops, you're not gonna fucking sink. You're gonna have that padding underneath you.
Okay.
And that's a big thing too. Like a lot of people, I've seen it with bands. They'll have a really good album, and then they'll have this like insanely elaborate live show, and then they'll have another album. The album wasn't as good, but they'll still have this insane elaborate live show, and that's coming out of someone's pocket, and it's their pocket. And then after that, the band will usually break up because they're broke, because they spent all their money on this elaborate live show because they thought they could afford it, because they assumed they would make the same amount as money as their first album as they would on their next album, but their second album didn't do as well.
Yeah.
And then boom, you're in the red.
Come out of the savings.
Yeah. And that's another thing too, is a lot of people need to realize that funding this is your savings account. It's a lot of your own money, and you have to treat it as a vacation that you're paying for that you get to work on. Like especially for like rock or metal, like it's like if I want to go play a show in Toronto or maybe even like in LA or something, I'm essentially paying it for a vacation to LA where I get to work, and I just know that I'm not going to make any of that money back. And then that's just the way it's going to be.
That's a funny way of looking at it. Because it's a vacation because it's something you want to do.
Yeah.
You love it, but it's costing you money. And you're working at the same time.
Yeah, and you're working. And if you're fortunate enough to be able to get paid for that, maybe like the goal is to absolutely just like, if you could break even, perfect. If you can make a little bit more than that, gravy. Like that's awesome. Even when I look at, especially in the genre that I really like, even very, very, very successful metal bands, they don't make that much money. Like I remember one of them was on The Price is Right, and it was like this guitar player for this band that I really like. He was on the fucking Price is Right, gets on, fucking Drew Carey doesn't know who the fuck he is, and like just doesn't give a shit. Just think he's this other metalhead dude. And he fucking won. He won the whole fucking show.
Nice.
And then it's like, oh, he doesn't need any of that shit. He's probably just going to donate it to charity. Turns out he couldn't even afford to like keep all of that shit because they charge you taxes on all that stuff.
Whoa.
So if you win like a $20,000 truck, you got to pay 40% tax on it or whatever. Yeah. So he just ended up selling all of it. And it was like, that's eye-opening. Is just like this hugely successful metal band, their guitar player couldn't even afford their prizes on Price is Right. And it's like, damn.
Wow. Yeah, that goes back to what we were talking about a little bit before, right? Like he had you so convinced that he was this big, successful, touring the world in an awesome band.
Yeah.
Little did you know.
Exactly. A lot of these metal dudes, like they live in like these apartments that are like not much better than what like we live in right now.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's kind of a letdown, but at the same time, it just makes me think of like, you know what? Like I could do this. If they could do this, then I can like treat this as a passion and then just do it on my time off and just treat it like that.
You were mentioning earlier, like, you not having as many guests locally for your show to talk about metal and the types of things that you're into, and people having those similar experiences. Where is that genre big? Like if you could move somewhere, have tons of guests to come on, like what part of the world is that music really flourishing?
That's a really good question. Like, and then for me, it's like, I would like to be in a situation where I could talk to people that are not only like my peers, but people that are like those big level acts.
Right.
And then to have access to that, I don't know, like I'd have to live in like LA or like California. Like in Canada, metal's not that big. Maybe I think it's a bit bigger in the East Coast, like even like Toronto, but I'm not a big fan of Toronto. But it's very small out here. And it's small in a lot of places. Like I'd be very generous to say that like I would say less than 1% of the world's population probably listens to metal.
Yeah.
And it's like, and that's being generous. It's probably, it's a very, very, very niche genre. But it's cool to talk with like your buddies that are into that kind of music, but like to have the same 2 or 3 guests on the show all the time
rotating.
Yeah, would get a little old. So, but it'd be the podcasting thing, and then I try to like turn it more into like my comedy thing, and then I was just like, then I'm just like, am I saying all the jokes that I'd want to say on stage? I'm one of those. I hate to say this. I'm one of those creative types that's just got too much shit going on and needs to focus on just like one thing. And then so right now in this moment, it's writing music again, and that's been a lot of fun. And then like when you have those lulls, like for me, like if I'm not writing music, I'm kind of not doing anything. I'm kind of just doing my day job.
Yeah.
And then I've got nothing to look forward to. And then you can't like, because with a band, you have to, it can't just be you, it's got to be you and 4 other guys or 4 other people. And if they're not wanting to work on anything, you can't like make them do it. So it's like, okay, well, I can still keep writing, but what's going to occupy my time until they're ready? So it's like I try to find other avenues, which is like the comedy, which was the podcast for a bit. And then I just try to find creative outlets for myself to keep myself sharp in those different areas.
What's your setup like at home? Are you able to like come up with ideas and like record into an interface and kind of build songs? Or you have so you have a home setup?
Yeah, that's exactly that's how it's been for a long time. Like I'm old enough now where when I first wanted to record myself, like the at home stuff was still like super unreachable.
Yeah.
And I remember getting like an XLR microphone, and I thought, it just blew my mind that I found an XLR to 3.5 millimeter cable, and I could plug that in the back of my computer in the fucking microphone input, and then I would just point that at my shitty little amplifier.
Yeah.
And I like, I think it was like Windows Sound Recorder, like that shitty little thing.
Oh my gosh.
And then I was just like, awesome, I can I can record now.
I'm a producer.
Yeah. And I was like, so that was like step 1.
Yeah.
And then like I found out this sweet program. It was called Cool Edit Pro, which is now Adobe Audition, by the way.
Okay.
And I got really proficient with that.
Yeah.
And then I'd record drums by just hanging that same microphone from like a nail in the ceiling.
Wow.
And just like pointing in the general direction of the drums. I was like, okay, that's good enough.
Just mono drums.
Yeah, mono drums. That was it. And then, hey, I was like 18.
You're
I didn't
doing
know.
it.
Yeah,
Hey, you're doing it.
I was just like, I was like, okay. And then I'd be like, okay, my amplifier has a headphone output. I'll plug some headphones into that, and then you just I'll play, and you just record the drums. No click track or nothing. So I'm just fucking playing, and I can't hear through the amplifier. I'm just hearing acoustic electric guitar, and my buddy's just like, he's not telling me that's really loud in his headphones. And then I'm like, oh, you could have told me to turn it down. He's like, well, I'm sorry. So you got these drums that are just mono drums and not to any time signature, no click track.
Yeah.
And then you record the guitar over top of that.
Yeah.
So I went from that and then slowly building on my knowledge and like being around people in the studio. And then I remember like I was telling you, the first time we went to the Greenhouse studio, and our producer, Chris Holmes, awesome producer for rock or metal bands or like any type of band, hit him up. I remember just asking him, because like we would like go get food or whatever, and he'd mix or do whatever in between.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey man, can I just like watch you? And he's like, sure, dude. And I was like, I'll be quiet. Like I won't make any noise. And he's like, you could talk to me, man. You don't have to make it weird. And I was like, all right, cool. Like, tell me what you're doing. And then, like, I just thought that was so interesting. But now it's just like, it's so easy now. You just like, I have a little interface. I plug my guitar in, and there's plugins that you just turn on. And the way that I write, I like the other guitar player that I work with, he's very like, he has to like sit down and he has to have like everything mapped out. And like, that's how he writes. And that's why the biggest criticism that I give him is that like, I really appreciate what you're playing, but when I listen to your music as a listener, I'm just like, it sounds a bit busy sometimes. I'm like, you can really like, you got to think of a groove. For me, I'm very vibe orientated. So I'll pick up a guitar, I'll start playing, and if I'm feeling it, cool, I'll track it down.
Yeah.
But if I'm not feeling it, I'll just put it down, and then I'll just stop. And different things can get me in the mood to write. Like I could watch a movie, and then in the soundtrack, I'll hear like a cool, like weird little off tone that's way in the back, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. That gives me ideas, and then that will inspire me. Or just even like I have a lot of different guitars, and then I like different guitars because I pick one up, and then it just gives me a vibe that the other one might not.
Yeah.
So that's how I write now, and drums is a big part of it. I need to have drums because drums just like they just add that. You could have drums that if the drums sound really good, your guitar tone could just be dog shit, and it would still sound awesome.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
No, we talked about this with a producer friend of mine who was on a few weeks ago, and about the importance of drums. Like, it's the record.
It's the foundation.
It's the foundation.
It's just like if you want to put time into anything. No one gives a fuck about that tape echo or that analog delay. Put it into the drums.
What's driving the rhythm? What are people moving to?
Yeah.
It's the boom clap, it's that, like, make that thick and huge and punchy. And like you said, your guitars are going to be EQ'd behind that anyways.
Yeah.
Like they're, like you said, it's not as important. I mean, genre to genre, song to song, sure, there are exceptions, but I think overall, like, for sure, dial in your drums.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially with hip hop, like that beat's got to sound massive.
Yeah,
and then like it's cool that you want to get into layering and you want to put some other shit in there, but it's like it's background noise. It's like it's glorified background noise. It's just like the beat, the bass. That's been a new thing because we currently don't have a set in stone bass player yet. So I'm having to record all the bass for these demos, and as a guitar player, I want to play the thing like a guitar, but it's not meant for that. So like I'll be playing all the same shit and it just sounds terrible. And then so I was like, okay, I'm going to just follow the kick drum. And then so I'll just play the drums and then I'll write the music to the drums. And then it just makes everything sound just so much like it has so much more punch. And just like when because that's what a rhythm section is. You're following the drums. And that's what it's a tried and true method.
So are you programming the drums, or do you guys go somewhere else to record them, or where are they coming from?
So, right now, I actually was very fortunate and got to have an experience through my work where I went to California for a month, and I met a dude there, and his name's Pablo, and he's a dude from Spain. And then me and him got to be really good friends, and then we found out that we both like metal. And then I was talking about how I was writing music, but it's really hard because we don't know if our drummer's going to be on board or what's going to happen for the writing process. And then I was like, I just wish I could program my own drums. And then he was like, I'll program your drums for you. He's like, I play drums. And I was like, I might take you up on that. So this fucking dude who lives in Spain is programming our drums for us. So it's so hilarious. It just shows you like that music just speaks universally.
Hell yeah.
So like he'll just program these drums and he's got all the drum plugins, and then he'll send it back to me. And then I'll just FaceTime him and I'll be like, okay, this part right here, I love it. This part, okay. My way of saying I don't like what you're playing is I just go, it's not speaking to me. So just like, this part's not speaking to me. Yeah. Because that was a big lesson I learned is like, if you are in a group or you're working with other musicians, you kind of got to be humble, and you don't want to tell somebody like, I fucking hate what you're playing, or I fucking hate how you sing. You can't say shit like that because it's just
you got to be delicate with people.
Yeah, so you got to. I know it seems like really lame, like you're flavoring it in a certain way, but just say something like as easy as, "I'm not feeling what you're. I'm not really feeling. That's not speaking to me."
Yeah.
And then just be like, "I think you could do better," and then it might be cheeky, but they'll be like, "Okay, I get it."
Giving feedback is an art form.
Yeah.
When it comes to being creative and working and collaborating with people. Yeah. So, but it sounds like you guys have a good chemistry going on. And he just like we transfers you a zip file with a bunch of drum stems from Spain, or how?
Yeah, exactly. Like we just share like a Google Drive because some people use PCs, some people use Macs.
Yeah.
And then he'll send it, and then I just send him the Logic sessions, so like it's got all the tempo and the click track mapped out, and then I got just scratch track guitars, and then he'll follow that. And yeah, sometimes he's really off the mark, and then I have to be like, I'll give him examples, but he's really quick at learning like what I'm talking about. And it's a great starting point, and I'm hopeful that what we have, when I show it to our original drummer, he'll be like, okay, you guys are taking this seriously, I'll want to play with you. And then even if he doesn't, we've got something that if we want to hold auditions, people can hear what we're going for, and then we can really take our time to pick somebody great, which is nice, instead of having like two guitar players pick out some shitty drum loops from Fruity Loops or something, or just like whatever. Like that's another thing too, like metal musicians or rock musicians do, is they'll program these drums that are impossible to play, or they're just like so generic, like they'll put no variation or no life in the beat.
Yeah. So forgive my ignorance here. Obviously programming drums in hip hop is like standard. Right?
Yeah.
But are these programmed drums your friend in Spain sending you, are these for like a demo purpose, or would these actually be the final drums in the mix? Or would these be drums to show a template to a potential drummer that's auditioning for the band? Like what stage are these at?
No, that's a really good question. So in rock and metal, especially metal, the drums are like laser perfect. And if you are a big artist and you can spend the money on a really nice drum room and a lot of nice mics, and then getting like a really good sound out of your own acoustic set that you've paid a lot of money for, cool, you'll be doing that. But for the rest of us, you're going to be programming your drums.
Okay.
You might just like, you might trigger your drums, and you'll play your bit, and then
replace them with samples.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then that's how you get it to sound like just so laser tight.
Sure.
And some of the samples, you know this, like some of the samples that are available out there, they just sound so good. And it's just like, you have to have a pretty fucking incredible kit and a set of mics in a really good room to rival what there already is for samples. And it's like, you are still the musician playing that part, but like that's how it is. And then even now, like guitar amps are kind of like becoming irrelevant, because like you get all these old school people that are like, oh, I like to mix the sounds between like 2 or 3 different amps, and it's like, cool, so now I gotta fucking own 3 amps to mix in the studio. It's like, that's not feasible. Or even if you rent them, it's like, when you can get these plugins and you just like DI your guitar straight into the mixer, and you got that fucking bare clean track that sounds like garbage. But once you have that, you can reamp it, and it's like limitless what you can pick. So you could just do a mix, and you could just be like, not feeling it, and you could change it, rather than like, okay, I got to scrap this entire session, and then, all right, let's go to Long and McQuaid and fucking buy 3 more amps,
3 more 60-pound amps.
Exactly. It's just like, you don't. So it's definitely become super economic to record pretty decent, like really good sounding albums. So right now we're just in like the pre-production phase, so we're still just like getting the songs finalized, and then even now with like the fucking programmed drums from Pablo in Spain, and then just like these shitty guitar plugins. We're not even using the ones that we want to use for the album. I'm listening to it and I'm like, holy shit, these demos sound really good so far.
Yeah.
And it gets me really excited. So, and then to hear that, and then to hear the final product will be awesome. Like, it's not going to be like, wow, it's 100 million times better, but it's like, to hear it be that sounding that good to you in that phase of the process, you know you got a good start.
Oh, dude, and that's inspiring, right? Like it can be at times so discouraging to listen to the pro mixes or the albums that you've bought and be like, wow, I have so far to go to get to that point.
Yeah.
But nowadays it's so easy, just even with like the stock plugins in Logic, all the great amps and things they have, like you said, you can get ridiculous results just off of your laptop.
Yeah.
And then some samples of, a really nice snare and a kick, and just, it's like, holy smokes.
I remember when I wanted to learn how to record, when I was first recording guitar, like I said, with that fucking mono mic. I went to the because there's no YouTube back then. I went to the library and got a book.
Wow.
And it's teaching me shit on a console that's like the one that you have in Studio A.
Yeah.
And it's like, that is so
Doesn't
fucking,
help me.
that is so fucking beyond like what I'm able to acquire. It's not even, I'm like, I might have well have been reading like a manual for like a fucking rocket ship.
Yeah.
It's just like, great, I'm never going to attain that. So back to the mono microphone, because that's working for me right now. And I remember when we recorded our first demo, and then this is straight out of like Hustle and Flow. Like we fucking, we had like a little closet that wasn't finished in my parents' basement, and I fucking put a mattress up against it while the dude was in there recording vocals.
Yeah.
And for a pop filter, we used a dryer sheet, like on a fucking coat hanger.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I was like, without it, I was like, oh man, I'm hearing all the
Yeah.
and I'm like, we got to do something about that. Dryer
figure this
sheet,
out.
coat hanger, done. And then I was like, we figured it out. And then I
love stories like that, man.
Yeah.
Just like by any means necessary, we're gonna record the song.
Yeah.
Like what parts do we have? What can we use? You know, I have similar stories like that where, you know, my first vocal booth was my closet in my bedroom.
Yeah.
The duvet off of my bed that I slept on draped over that door, and then we put like a pillow at the top balancing there and put the mic in front of that. And it was like some absorption, you know, better than a flat wall. But and that was what we used. And I mean, I did have an actual pop filter from Long and McQuaid, but you know, it was like household materials to make our studio.
Everyone starts somewhere, and that's why it's just everyone's starting out now. You are so fortunate because you have access to so much shit that like we just didn't, like fucking 15 years ago. And like, especially when you're just some kid and you don't work in a studio or near a studio.
Yeah.
There isn't even a fucking recording studio in your hometown. And like the shit that people just have access to now, it's just like, take advantage of it.
Oh, it's phenomenal. And even within my generation of me doing this, like it's come so damn far.
Yeah.
Like from what Logic 10 is now to GarageBand, what I started on.
Yeah.
The reverb in GarageBand was a slider.
Yeah.
It was a little dot from 0 to 100.
Yeah.
And it was left or right. How much reverb do you want?
Yeah.
That was it. That was how generic it was.
But it worked for you. You're just like, I know where to put that dial. I know where to put that slider.
12.
Yeah.
It's like right at 12. I didn't know what a plate reverb or a chamber was or a whatever, like a hall. Like,
girl, I think you're a 12. Dude, I think you're a 15. I'll put you to 15 right now.
15.
Try that shit. But no, yeah, like when we first started out, like you had to have, like I see you got a bit of hardware over here. Like you had to have fucking hardware stacks. Like it wasn't all software based yet. And then it was like, oh, how much is that one preamp? It's like $3,000.
Yeah.
Okay, that might as well be $10,000 or $100,000.
I might as well be buying a house here.
Yeah,
like.
exactly. And then now it's just like, it's built in the software.
Yeah,
and I think that's rad.
Yeah, and not just built in, but like really good. And so many options too. So yeah, I mean, if I was, you know, I was probably 15, 16 when I first got my laptop and making GarageBand beats and recording stuff, and like if that was now with Ableton and like Logic 10, like we were saying, and how good, you know, not even like just the stock plugins are great, but the options we have for, you know, purchase plugins, all the like the Fab Filter stuff and the Waves plugins and the Slate Digital. Oh my God, Slate Digital! Like it's the kids nowadays just have such a fucking head start. They have no clue. It's amazing.
And it's like, oh, you want to learn how to record? Watch a YouTube video.
Yeah.
They might talk about how they were sick for the first 3 or 4 minutes. You got to skip that shit, but you'll get into it, and then. I feel like I had to learn from a book, or like I had to go to a guy and then have the guy show me.
Yeah.
It's like I didn't have that shit. And it's like the options are limitless. It's like, you can lean on that a little bit too much and then not have the talent for it. But for all the people that have the talent, you have so many tools at your disposal to get your ideas out there.
Yeah. It's so cool. It's just such a great time to be a creative person.
Yeah.
Not just to create it, but then to share it too is just like, God, social media is right there. You can be your own label. You can be your,
I remember shopping around to record a demo, like a demo EP to, what the hell was that radio? Fox? I can't remember.
Okay.
It was a radio station in Vancouver, and every year they would have this competition where you could send in your demo, and then if you won, you would get like some cool. You'd get like some money. You'd get like some cool gigs with some like big artists, and then you would get like a few sessions with like a record label person or something. And they had this competition every year. And I remember shopping around to try to see someone who would record a demo for us. And they went to a studio, and the quote for a demo for 3 songs was $10,000.
Oh my God.
This is in 2004, and I was 17. It was $10,000.
That's just like someone pulled your stomach out. You're just like, fuck.
And
this.
I'm like, and that's as economical as you can get.
Yeah, that was like a deal.
And they were like, we could cut it down to $10,000.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck. And then, $10,000. And then now you could just buy a fucking MacBook Air and then do your whole shit on there. And then it'd probably sound just as good, if not better than that $10,000 would have got me.
Oh yeah. And mixing too nowadays. You can like you can get the shit to record it yourself and get the sounds there at least, but the art form of mixing and making it sound clean and polished has escalated so dramatically as well. Just like a lot of the presets on these things get you like a vocal preset, and it'll like EQ your vocal for you. And like, it's a good start. You maybe don't want to use it to finish with, but just the amount of like training wheels that are on everything now is out of control, man.
So much of that stuff, like you could do the recording bit yourself. Maybe you'll mix a little bit to kind of learn what mixing is like. And then once you're ready for that next step, send all your stems to somebody to mix for you. And it's very affordable now to just get someone to mix it for you. And then you'll be way happier with the results than if you kind of like force that shit through yourself.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's good to learn, but it's like, if you're not into it and you don't want to put in the time, pay someone else to do it.
Yeah, that's something that I'm really, really glad a handful of artists that I'm working with now are appreciating. They're seeing the value of paying for mixing.
Yeah.
Not only that, but we're not just YouTube to MP3 converting a beat that's stolen off of YouTube.
Yeah.
We're going to go to that beat. At the bottom in the description is a link to that producer's page where you can subscribe.
Yeah.
And then it's got a link to his website. It's $99 to get the track outs so that we can download the stems and you can pay me to do a proper mix. And I've done, probably a half dozen mixes in the last couple months for guys that I'm working really closely with. And it's just like, you see the look on their face and it's just like, they're like, what was I doing before this? Like, like their eyes are just like, and this look like they just discovered, the meaning of life.
Yeah.
It's just like
shit has come down a lot, and you're talking like $100 to fucking make your song go from fucking YouTube converter to you get the
full
legit,
polished mix.
Yeah, you get the legit stems, and it's like that's all it takes.
That's all it takes. $100.
Reach out to that person and then just be like, "Yo, I would love to use this beat. What are we talking here?" And they'll probably say $100, and they'll be more than happy with that.
And some of these guys will throw in like deals, like you buy 3, you get 1 free.
There you go.
So that's what we did recently with one of my guys, and it's like now he's got 3 really tight sounding polished singles that he's going to be releasing.
That's the thing, because you got that person who's talented and they have that one aspect, but they can't program beats. And it's like, well, do we just prevent the world from ever hearing what this person can do just because they can't make beats? It's like, no, that person needs to find they need to find a way around that. And if that's paying $100, fucking do it. And then that way you can get your art out there. And it's like the amount of people that we didn't get a chance to hear is because they didn't have a chance to be with a drummer. They didn't get a chance to be with a guitar player. It's just like, that sucks. And it's like, it's so sweet that like all of these outlets are out there.
Yeah.
You could go on fucking Fiverr.com and hire like a bass player. Like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
For $10.
Yeah.
You'll get a $10 worth of bass playing, but you could fucking up that to $20 and you might get something sweet.
Yeah. No, we're so spoiled nowadays.
Yeah.
And it's really nice. It's great to see these up and coming guys really go to that next level.
Yeah.
It doesn't take a lot of convincing. Like it speaks for itself when they have these realizations, when they just try it. We have a little conversation. You know what? For your next song, why don't you buy the stems? And it's just like, we're never going back now. You've leveled up. You've gone to this new standard, and this is where you are. Now you've separated yourself from the 80-90% of the rest of the people that were your competition.
Like level 1 SoundCloud fucking rappers.
Level 1 SoundCloud rappers.
Yeah.
Now you're up here. So, but it does take money. You have to invest in your sound. You have to invest into the career. You got to feed it, right?
Yeah.
Don't have to spend every single cent and go completely broke and go crazy. But if you want something to grow, it's just like, it's basic economics. It's just anything. Man. It's just, you got to invest into it. It's not going to you can't expect the shit for free.
Yeah. And we're not talking like the $10,000. We're talking like you could work a regular job. You could eat at Fresh Lice and maybe have rice a few times a week for lunch. And it's like, and then you'll have that $100 to $200 to spend on your beats. You'll have that money to buy your first good microphone that'll last you quite a bit of time.
Yeah.
You'll have that money to hire someone like yourself to mix it for you. And then that'll take you further than if you just kept all that money for yourself and spent it on bullshit, and then you're just like mixing shit yourself and you're not doing it right, and then you're not going to be happy with your end product and you're not going to feel as confident.
Yeah, that's something too that's really great to see, is people understanding that this is a business. Like, I'm not talking about the music business, but I'm talking about them as an artist is a job. It's fun, but you have to treat this with like respect and discipline.
Yeah.
And like we were just saying before, investing money into it, taking it seriously. If you do want to get to that next level, it's commitment and it's dedication and it's sacrifice. And I'm so grateful to be witnessing that right now, and with so many people. And it's just I can't wait to see where in 5 years they might be at the Junos, and I'm like,
that's crazy.
Like, they started here at 2-track, like, wow.
Yeah.
I truly believe that though. Like,
and your name's on the credits too. And then they give you a shout out and you're just like, holy fuck.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's insane. A lot of people don't realize that you are a company that manufactures a product. Your product is your music, and you got to treat it like a job. And it's like, is it a smart idea to get your girlfriend to do your photography for you? It's like, I don't know. Will she show up on time? Is she is she going to take it seriously?
Yeah.
It's like, it might be cool in the moment, but maybe you should pay somebody to fucking do whatever. It's just like, treat it like a business.
I like that you said that too, because that was a huge moment for me as, as an artist and a creative person, realizing that I shouldn't do everything on my own.
Yeah.
I used to have like an ego about it. Like, I did this and did this. It's all me. You know, and that's fun to a certain extent, but I don't know shit about photography. Like, I don't know anything about graphic design. I'm not going to edit my own video. Like, if I have the means, especially nowadays, because it's so accessible to find people and it's so affordable, if you want to have the whole package, like, find the right person for the right job and let everybody do their thing. And then that leaves that much more time for you to focus on what you're good at.
Yeah.
You do you and let them do their part.
It's like anything, it's a balance. I know I said earlier, try to do as much shit as you can yourself, but you should also realize there's a better person to do something than you. Like, if you don't know how to work a camera, it's just like, how can you have this great fucking album that you just spent so much money and so much work on, and then have the cover be some shitty photo you took with your iPhone.
Yeah.
It's just like you
wouldn't do that, hopefully.
You've ruined it, right?
You've ruined it, yeah.
So it's just like if you can't do that, it's like find the resources to make that happen, and then don't compromise in any level of the process. Don't compromise when it comes to practicing the music. Don't compromise when it comes to recording it. Don't compromise when it comes to making sure it looks the way that it should look.
It's like a chain, right? And these are all these links, and it's like you've got your sound, you've got your image, you've got your live game, and you've got like your online personality persona. Like all of these things are links. If one of them is like a 1 out of 10, that's all of them are a 1 out of 10 now.
Exactly.
That's because someone's going to see that. It ruins you. It really does. It brings everything down to the level of the lowest denominator, right?
Yeah.
So like, like everything's 9s. This person's awesome. You go and see them and they lip sync their whole set. Okay, now that's how I think of you.
Yeah.
No matter what, anything else you put out. So.
And it's like, obviously there's exceptions to the rule. People will be like, well, fucking Kanye put out The Life of Pablo and that fucking album cover was just bullshit. It's like, okay, well, if you're fucking Kanye West, it's like, then you don't have to worry about that. But it's like, for now, I think you should put a little bit of money into that fucking cover.
But the thing with Kanye though is like that album cover and the next one after what was just a mountain and some text.
Oh yeah.
He probably hired like 150 people to like have meetings about the color and the font. And to us, it just looks like he threw it together like drunk one night. But it's probably like, I know damn well that he hired like 150 people, went over revisions, had meetings. It was
and then this one intern was like, I just put this in MS Paint, and then he was like, that's legit.
That's it.
That's the one. That's the one. No, you're absolutely right. But a lot of people, like, a thing I could say is like what we brought up is music is. I used to always get mad at people that would just be like, it should just be about the music, man. Like the music should just speak for itself. It's like, if you ever have a member like that in your band, fire that fucking person right away. Because the music should be a big part of it, but you got to have the business aspect. You got to have like the live, you got to have all those chains that we just brought up. Yeah. And if you don't, you're not going to succeed. And it's like, if you want to be that person that just plays in their bedroom and never performs for anybody, cool, go do that. But if you want to take it somewhere, you have to have all those things, and you have to be a 10 out of 10 in all of them.
You do. And that's true, man, especially with a group. Like with a group, all of the people kind of have to be at that level, right? If they're, like you said, if there's one person that's just like shows up late to band practice, like it's all about the music, man.
Yeah.
That one type where it's like they're literally just doing it because it's like about the music and they don't see the bigger picture. Like, well, you're carrying that dead weight with you as a group. That person's pulling everybody down. So it's like, yes, you may be talented, but like we're all trying to get to the next level. We're all seeing big picture here. So,
when you ask about like, hey, we need to invest $100 to buy this fucking sample, they're going to be like, hey man, like the music should just be the music, that it shouldn't matter like about the quality. It's just like, you're fired. Like you're done. Like go play in your bedroom because that's all you're gonna do.
That's all you're gonna do.
Yeah, and that's just the way it's gonna be. And then you got a lot of people, like I know you get a little freaked out from like these business or like these terms that people use, but you have to think about that shit. You have to think about your ROI. You have to think about like, am I carrying this dead weight? And you got to cut your losses sometimes. Like there's sometimes you're just be like, okay, I really like this person as a person. They're my best friend. I grew up with them, whatever, but are they helping me achieve my goals through the music? Are they helping us as a collective get to where we want to be? If the answer is no, okay, gone.
Yeah.
That's the hard side of things, though.
Yeah. And, you could be that person. And if you are that person, like, there's nothing wrong with playing music in your bedroom and being passionate about it. And maybe you do it for therapy. Maybe you do it, for a million reasons. And that's beautiful. Do that. Yeah. But, like we said, if it's a business and there's all of these components to it, that's not going to be the right fit.
Yeah, you're not the right fit. Like there's a place for you.
There's a place for you. There you go.
And that's fine. It's just,
but it's called the music business for a reason. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
When we're investing so much of our time and energy and sacrifice and we got to get something back out of it. We have to. There has to be some return. We have to be making some money, and you guys learned that the hard way.
Yeah,
right? Like going to Burger King and being like, okay.
Well, when you're young, like when you're like 19, early 20s, you're what's the word? I don't know. You fantasize a lot, and you think it's just gonna happen. Like you think like like that A&R rep is just gonna knock on your door and be like, "I heard you from the street jamming in your basement, and I thought it was really cool. How about $1 million, boys?" It's like, yeah, that's not how it happens.
No.
What you start to realize is you have to prove that you are going to be both beneficial for whatever record label that you sign to. It's going to benefit them as well as it's going to benefit you. So you have to prove that you could sell units, that kids will come to your show, people will come to your shows. If you can't prove that, then you're not a good bet, right?
Yeah.
Like, and then even when people ask you, why doesn't this artist come to where I live and perform? And it's like, well, are you a good venue for them? Like, they're putting out a lot of money to visit all these places. Are they going to get a good return if they play in your city and 20 people show up? It's like they're looking for places. They probably have got statistics and algorithms available to them that show you had this many listens on Spotify in this city and you had this many album sales, as opposed to this city that is probably the higher volume city to go play in. And it's like there's a lot of math behind it. So if I were to get like another piece of advice, fucking learn some math, like some basic math, and it's just like, like, do you want to play? Sure, there's going to be those shows where you play for a pitcher of beer and then you might get a couple of bucks in your pocket. It's like, that happens. But you want the majority of your shows to be, we're like, okay, I'm getting a guarantee so I can continue to do this.
Sure. You got to look out for yourself.
Yeah.
Yes, it is the music. Yes, that's what got you there and that's what people came to see. But you got to take something home so that I can come back and do this again for you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. Like, I remember we did a show and then we got our guarantee, and then we were getting to this level where we were getting like a pretty good guarantee, and then that guarantee went right into gas money because we fucking bought a camper van, a 1975 Winnebago, and that thing just ate through gas. And this sweet guarantee that we got barely gave us enough money to like get to and from the show. And then we were just like, hey, we broke even. That's cool.
Those are the stories, man. Those are the stories that make us, though, and like we had to go through those things
absolutely
to get to where we're at now, and to be able to make the decision that that's not what I want to do. And it didn't stop you from making music. You're probably enjoying it more than you ever have with the setup that you have now and the resources that you have, and you're still you have creative outlets and you're still doing it, but
it is
in a
cool.
different way. You know,
it is nice, and I'm really looking forward to releasing something and then maybe playing a few shows and then taking it from there and then seeing where it goes. But like I had to go through all that, and then there's exceptions to every rule. There are the people where maybe an A&R rep heard them through their bedroom window and went in there and gave them $1 million. High five to those people. Sure. Yeah, I'm happy for that. Yeah. But for 99.9% of the rest of us, you'll learn some hard lessons.
We hear those stories, but they're like, that's like a lottery ticket. So just don't expect it anytime soon.
Exactly.
Like,
exactly.
Put the work in, and if that happens, great. But don't bank on it. Don't be waiting for that moment, because that's just silly. You should. Yeah.
Wait for that fucking lottery ticket.
Don't wait for that lottery ticket.
No, I dig that.
So, when are we gonna get to hear some music from you? Do you think? Is there like one single you're working on right now that getting close to being where you feel like it could be released soon?
I told the other guys that I wouldn't divulge too much, but like I said, this fall is our 10-year anniversary, so that's kind of like what got the ball rolling. We're hoping this fall, so I'll just say fall. We're working on an EP, and we'll announce some shows after that, but for right now we're just in the writing process, and then we're hoping for a target of fall. Amazing. And if people want to follow you and get updates
news about that, you're on social media, right?
Yeah, the band is called Pentecost, so you could follow us on Instagram, and then we're on Apple Music, we're on Google Play or YouTube Music, and we're on Spotify. We have one album up there. We will start updating on there, and then we'll start to launch like some hype stuff. But yeah, more to come.
Amazing. We'll have links to those in the description for the band when we put the show out, so people can find it easily. And for your personal social media, do you want to shout that out so people can check you out?
Sure. Being a creative person, I go through moods, and sometimes I just like shut out everybody. But mine's at Fornatron, and you can follow me there if you want.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you for having me here. This was cool.
This has been really cool, really informative, awesome stories. I hope everybody enjoyed the show, and hope you're having a fantastic weekend. We will talk to you soon. All right. Peace.
Peace.